Those are your support socks.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of this video?
Mine is These Violence
These violent what?
These Violence Delights.
These violence delights.
These Violent Delights. Next category, or the next book. The next one on this book. Whoa. You alright, vibes?
So.
Did you invent Post-its?
No, but I do have a phone. Oh, look how beautiful you are.
It's me.
I'm not gonna do Washington. I'm not gonna do Steinbeck.
You can't see him right now, but
no.
Well, every time I look at it, I'm just like, I want to read you, but I don't know if it's time to read you. Hello.
We're back.
We got another video coming right at you. We're snowed in, so we thought, why not make a video? We got about 8 inches of snow today, so we're both home alone, no school. School has been canceled both today and tomorrow, so we decided, let's film a video. Welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. I'm Craig.
And I'm David.
And we are Shelf Possessed. And we love that you're here. We love that you've joined our little community. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell notification just so you know that we're posting new videos, because we're really trying to get better at posting videos on a regular basis. And so if you do that, then you'll be notified whenever we post new videos and whenever we put new stuff up, because we've got exciting stuff next month. And we decided that we would tackle another book tag that we saw online, and that is the Most Intimidating Tbr Tag.
We have a lot of those.
We do. We have, as you well know, we have a book buying habit, and then they just sit on our bookshelves and stare at us until it's time to read them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we thought this would be fun because we have many books that we have not read that we've been purchasing over the years that are just sitting on our bookshelves. So why not give them some love and showcase them off here? And I think actually most of these, maybe 2 of them, that's it. That's all you've seen on this channel before. So we're going to talk about new books that you haven't seen before, which is actually kind of cool, that you haven't seen it. So that could be interesting.
Okay.
So this tag exists online. Are you ready?
Ready.
Yeah. So we're going to go through these questions one at a time, and we both have books picked out, and I think actually, weirdly, some of our books kind of
overlap,
go back and forth to each category. So we're just going to talk about, why we picked them for that category and why they're sitting on our TBR shelf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first question is a book on your TBR that you haven't finished, which is many of them. Like all of these are books we have not finished.
I think we have a lot of stops and starts.
We do
too.
Yeah.
So
if we're having a bad month, we just put it down. So, but my first book that fits in this category is a book I started 2 months ago, which is These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever, which is supposed to be like a retelling of the Leopold and Loeb story, like set in the 70s. And I started it and I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So, and then I just kind of didn't, you can see I kind of didn't get very far, in it, but I was just like, I'm not feeling it right now. I don't want to. So I just put it down. So it's still sitting there. It's still begging to be read. I still want to read it based on all the things I've heard about it. So
how far did you get?
That's it. Let's not make judgment calls based on how far I got, okay? 21 pages.
So you started part 1.
I did. I started part 1, and then that was it for me. So, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But it is there. It is something I want to read, so my hope is that I'll get back to it. But, yeah, it's like...
And we're always looking for bookmarks, and then it's like, oh...
Yeah. They're just stuck in books that we didn't finish.
Hiding.
So, but I'm excited to read this, and I do want to read it, but it's, a book that I haven't finished is this one.
my first one is Hurricane Season by Fernanda Milchor. The only reason why I got this was the first line on the back, the little short synopsis on the back says, "The witch is dead." That is all that I really needed, and then I immediately bought it. I started it, but then as I went through it, it's almost like if you ever read Duck's Newberry Reports. Remember when
I do remember that book, yeah.
And there were not any periods. Well, there were like at the beginning of the book, and then it kind of stops, and then it just, there's no period or there's no stopping point throughout the book, and it's like almost 1,000 pages.
Yeah, it's huge.
So Fernanda starts with that starts to happen in the first chapter, and I immediately was triggered from Duck's Newberry Reports, so I immediately had to stop. Because I'm like, where do I stop? There's no stopping point until you get to the next chapter. So it's kind of hard to kind of reassess the next time you kind of jump right into it. So you almost have to go all the way back to the beginning and start again. So that's why I stopped. I think I read maybe about 15 pages, and then it just, I was like, yeah, we're going to put that away.
Well, those books are hard too. Like when the formatting is weird, or when there's no like punctuation or no chapters, it makes it really difficult to like actually find a good stopping place to,
Yeah, and it's not, from what I read, it's not a book that you can stop and start. Like, you have to kind of like be very focused on what you're reading and what's going on in the book. So I will probably wait for the summer and finish that during that time when I have enough time. Okay.
All right, number 2 on this intimidating TBR tag is a book that you haven't had the time to read. So you've had it, but you haven't had the time to read it, which is, I guess, a little subjective, because what is time? What is free time at this point? So I picked a book that I've had sitting around for a while, and I have literally picked it up 3 months in a row to like put on my TBR and then put it back because I just like wasn't. It's like, it's too much, it's too big, I don't have time, whatever. And that's Reckless Daughter, which is a portrait of Joni Mitchell, which is a Joni Mitchell biography. And I've been wanting to read this for so long. The cover is beautiful. I love Joni Mitchell so much. And I just don't know if I don't know if I'm ever in the mood for a biography. Mm-hmm. I feel like I know a lot about Joni Mitchell's life, and so I'm like, am I going to read anything new in this, or is this just going to be like retread of what I've already heard or read before?
That's a great quote by Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, Leonard Cohen says she was like a storm, indeed. So I've been a little bit like hesitant to pick this one up, even though I want to read it so badly. But yeah, it'll get there eventually. I know I will read it. I know I want to read it. So yeah, Reckless Daughter, Portrait of Joni Mitchell by David Yaffe. David Yaffe? David Yaffe.
Sure. So, books I haven't had time to read, there's 2. One of them is The Lost Village by Camilla Stenn, and then the next one is Stephen Chbosky's Imaginary Friend. Imaginary Friend, a lot of people have talked about this book, so I think that's one of the reasons why we got it. It always makes the cut of books I'm going to read for the month, but then somehow it gets kind of sifted out. So I was like, I'm going to wait for Halloween, or I'm going to wait for the fall, and then it's just like I just didn't want to get into it. Plus, it's a very thick book as well.
You're not reading it because he directed Dear Evan Hansen.
The Lost Village is it is being compared to the Blair Witch Project meets Midsommar, which is why I think we got this, because we loved both of those movies, or at least one of them. We did.
I started that book too, and I did not enjoy my experience. So,
you didn't? Did you get?
I didn't get very far. It's a translated book, and so I think that there's things that are lost, or fearful things. It's weird and it's creepy for sure, but like, I just think there were things about it that I didn't.
Yeah, so I thought they were just kind of unsettling and scary, and that's why we got them. But they've been on our to be read shelf. So
that's the word.
Shelf.
Possessed.
Okay.
So I think I'm the only one that has one for the next category, which even I'm kind of fudging a little bit, but it's a book that you haven't read because it's a sequel, and I don't actually have that many, but I have a book that I haven't finished, And there's a sequel coming out for the book, and I'm not like super excited to. I don't know. I don't want to read the sequel necessarily, and I don't want to finish this one, and so, and that is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall, which we've talked about this before. You all know I'm starved for gay romance books, and this should be it. And I think I got 200 pages in, and I was like, nah, I'm okay. I just didn't enjoy it, and then the sequel, which is called Husband Material, is coming out, and I was just kind of like, nah. I mean, if I'm going to read that, I have to finish this, and I don't really want to finish this. And so, yeah, I do want to love it. I just haven't had a chance to, like, pick it back up and finish it again. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's there. It's just not going anywhere after that.
Was it, why did you stop?
I think it's because when I bought it, everyone was talking about it in tandem with, like, Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Which one, did you read that one? Red, White, and Royal Blue first.
And then I bought this one, Fierced. I bought this one after I read that, thinking that I wanted more of that, and it's not. It looks like it's going to be that, but it's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they did that on purpose. I think that the marketing team clearly tried to capitalize on something, and it's just not. Yeah, it's not the same. The characters here are probably a little bit more complicated because they're dealing with addiction, family issues, and stuff like that, and romance and body issues. So there's more interesting stuff, I think, in this book, but I just didn't like the writing so far.
Maybe if you didn't read them back to back so soon, maybe it would be different. I bet you if you go back now, you'd probably find something delightful about it.
Yeah, I'm sure I might enjoy it. Maybe over the summer I'll pick it back up and finish it. And then if I like it when I finish it, then I will. Maybe I'll buy the sequel. The next question on the Intimidating TBR tag is a book that you have not read because it's brand new. Which we also have a few of these as well.
So I bought this recently. I think this may be March or April, but it was Isabella Lindy's Violetta. I bought this a while ago, and I thought I was going to read it for February, but another few books kind of bumped it out. So this might hit either March or April on my TBR list. So we'll see about that. Yeah. So I've read only one of her books many years ago, so I thought I would kind of jump back into her work. So yeah,
it's a beautiful cover too.
Yeah.
Well, mine is one that you have seen on our channel, and this one's already read part of it. And this actually could fit for many of these categories on this, and that's To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. Obviously, I love The Little Life. I've talked about it before, and I was excited that her new book was coming out, and then I saw that. It's huge. To be fair, I do have the audio as well. The audio, I think, would help me get through some of this quicker. And it is brand new. It did just come out last month, and I want to read it so badly. But everything else is just like inching it out every single time. So it's just going to sit there on the TBR pile until the mood strikes me, I suppose. But you liked the first story, right?
The first part was fine. Then I got into the second part. I think I needed to be in the right headspace for part 2. So I may come back a little bit later. So
I love holding this book, though. It feels very nice.
Yeah, and it's a doorstop.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Or a weapon.
Mine for brand new book that I haven't read yet, and that I'm intimidated to read, is To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. The next question on this Intimidating TBR tag is a book by an author that you previously read and did not like. This was not that hard for me. Was it hard for you?
Yes, because I think that he's beloved. But
also, if you don't like something that an author has written, generally you will not pick up other things by them. Generally.
And it was probably because when I was reading it in high school, maybe it was the teacher and the way that they were teaching it, I just I couldn't get into it, and I couldn't get into his work. That is John Steinbeck's East of Eden. I bought this a while ago and was always meant to read it over winter break of some kind. That never happened, but I think I kind of steer more towards Hemingway than Steinbeck. So yeah, this keeps beckoning me and just letting me know.
Steinbeckening you? Ooh, I'm on fire, babe.
You and your dad jokes.
Those classics are really, really hard. I mean, unless you're reading them for something, it's like I find them very difficult to want to read. Mm-hmm. That says a lot about me, I guess, as a person. But
yeah.
Well, mine's on the other side of the scale there. Mm-hmm. So you've heard in this channel, I've talked about Jennifer Mcmahon. I read The Winter People and I hated it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. And then inadvertently, we already had two of her other books. No, I had this book and then you bought one. Mm-hmm. So the one that's on my list is The Invited by Jennifer Mcmahon. I bought this because of the cover and the description, thinking that I would really like it. And then once I read Winter People, I was like, I don't think that I want to read this, but maybe because the description of the book is so interesting, and it's a ghost story set in the woods of Vermont, and a husband and wife who don't move into a haunted house, they build one. Which I find extremely interesting. That the premise sounds amazing, but once I read her other book, I was just like, I don't think I care. But I don't know. I don't want to write somebody off after one novel necessarily, and it could have just been that story and whatever. So my pick for an author that I had previously read but didn't enjoy is The Invited by Jennifer Mcmahon. The next question on this intimidating TBR tag is a book on your TBR that you're just not in the mood to read, which is a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay, so last November, this was around election time. So I wanted to start reading presidential biographies from the very beginning. So my father-in-law got me Ron Chernow's Washington A Life, which I was very excited about. And Ron Chernow, he goes all in when he writes. So I was very excited to buy this book, but it's another one of those books that I'm like, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy right now to read. So usually I will wait for the summer for these books. So I think Washington will wait, and we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But it's also, if you want to do some curls, that's fine too.
Talk about a doorstop.
Yeah.
I mean, I just talked about mine. It's this one.
Yeah.
Well, every time I look at it, I'm just like, I want to read you, but I don't have the time to read you. The next one is a book on your TBR pile that you haven't read because it's enormous. And mine, I'm going to save because it's the last one. Mine is both enormous and very intimidating. So I'm going to save my enormous one to the end. So
okay. My Ron Chernow Part 2. And that goes to Grant.
Did my dad also buy you that one?
I don't think so. I think I bought this on my own because I remember it coming in the mail, and I was like, what did I buy? And then I was like, oh, I bought a book. But another one that's incredibly thick.
The way you like it.
Yeah. So see, that's so much thicker than the Washington one, and I got through I think I got about close to 200 pages into it, and then once again I got busy with stuff.
And 200 pages into that book is barely a dent.
Yeah, and you got to keep track of a lot of stuff. So I'm like, and I didn't have any Post-its at that time, or anything to like keep notes with. So it's like maybe I'll just I'll just go back to it sooner or later.
That's my favorite reasoning that you've ever given to not finish a book, because I didn't have any Post-its.
I didn't have any Post-its on me, so there's that.
Okay. The next one in here is a book on your TBR you bought because of the cover, and I think you saw this one in our book haul. I bought this because, of the cover and of the description, and that is Olympus, Texas by Stacey Swan. This has been sitting on my nightstand since I bought it because I desperately want to read it. Weirdly, it's actually sitting on top of Mythos by Stephen Fry right now, which is retellings of Greek myths, and this is a retelling of Greek myths but set in a Texas family. It weaves elements of classical mythology through a modern family saga, which is really in the direct opposition of what I normally read. But I desperately want to read it for some reason, and so I bought it because the cover is beautiful and the story sounds interesting, and I'm just itching for a moment to pick it up. So cross your fingers for me.
For me, that it was Amy Tan's The Valley of Amazement. I was on an Amy Tan kick there for a very long time, about 2 months ago, that I could not stop getting her books. And the last one that I purchased was this book, and I haven't started it yet. But I am in love with this cover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in love with all of her covers, really, the original covers. But that's that.
Yeah,
so,
it is a beautiful cover. Well, the last question is the most intimidating book on your TBR pile. And as I said before, mine is both the most intimidating and the most enormous. It's, I think, even more enormous both in scope and scale and page number versus To Paradise a little bit. And mine is House of Leaves by Mark. If you don't know about this book or you haven't heard of this book, it is like 3 books in one. It is multimedia, basically. It is written like in many different texts. There's things that are upside down. There's diagrams. There's dialogue and script pages. It is essentially about a man who finds a house that is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And there's more space somehow in the house, and he's exploring that. But it's also about a man who's finding the story and telling the story, and then it's like 3 different stories in one. And it's like there are legitimately pages where things are written upside down. There are footnotes everywhere. And the thing is, it's all fiction. Like if you look at this page, like you have something that's written upside down. You have something in a little box. Like it is extraordinarily hard to read. Also, it's supposed to be disturbingly frightening. And I picked it up 2 summers ago, and I started it. There's another bookmark, by the way. I started it, and I got 34 pages in before I was too confused and had to put it down. And there are full like reading vlogs, people trying to read this book and trying to like understand and explain it. And everyone who's read it really loves it, and I want to love it. I like him a lot. I like his sister more. If you know who his sister is.
Who's his sister?
I Married a Stranger. His sister is the singer Poe. She has a song called House of Leaves. He does some of the narration from the book in the song. That's how I kind of found out about him. And their dad was a very famous filmmaker. So there's a lot of like film, references in here. If you haven't listened to the album Haunted by Poe, do that. Different video, but yeah, this is the most enormous book and the most intimidating for me, and I still want to finish it, but I just don't know how to read it.
I might put that on my June TBR.
Yeah, it's just, there are pages with 2 words on them. So it doesn't feel like it's going to be that hard, but like anytime a book has footnotes, I feel overwhelmed immediately.
I love them.
I know. I just like, oh God, where am I supposed to go? Yeah. So this is very, very intimidating. Very, very intimidating for me. But I still want to do it. It's not like I don't want to. I don't know when I will. So.
Okay, my last one really quick is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. This is another one that we bought a long time ago. Did you buy this or did I buy this?
I think you bought it.
I don't remember. But it's been sitting on our shelf too. It's, I wouldn't say really intimidating, but I would just say I don't think I'm ready to go there just yet.
Yeah.
I have to be in the right frame of mind to read anything that's dramatic or that's heart-wrenching. I don't know if I want to do that just yet. But if you've read this book and you've enjoyed it, please let me know. Or if you've disliked it, please let me know, because I would like to know what I'm getting myself into first before I kind of jump in.
Okay, so can I throw a wrench in the plan a little bit? Can I add a 10th question? Okay, so I've already thought about it, so I kind of know what my answer is, but I'm going to add a 10th question to this tag, and that is, of these books that you've just picked, which one will you commit to reading next? Like, actually commit to. So is there one of those that you feel like you'll put on your March TBR and be happy about?
I'll do Violetta.
That's a good choice.
Because that looks like a good spring, like, Marchy book, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
Let's just go with the one that's been sitting on my... Let's go with the one that's been sitting on my nightstand. I'm going to do Olympus, Texas for March. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to read something that's not a mystery, that's not a horror, that's not a thriller. I'm going to read this.
Okay.
And maybe I'll combine it with Mythos by Stephen Fry. And we'll see if those two things, you know. And then 3 months in a row, I'll have some sort of Greek mythology.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will commit to reading Olympus, Texas by Stacey Swan.
Fine.
So that's our Intimidating TBR pile, and that's the Intimidating TBR tag. I'm going to put a few channels in the description box below. We're going to tag a few people and see if they want to also create this as well. So we'll see if they kind of respond and if they want to do that too. So check that description box if you are watching and you want to know if you got tagged, because I'm going to put it in there. So, yeah. And we'll be back next week with our February wrap-up, which I'm actually excited because I'm like pretty much done with my TBR as we film this.
I am not.
Maybe I'll add an extra book too. I don't know if I'll get to it by the time we have to film, but
No.
maybe. So,
All
well,
right.
thank you for coming back. If you haven't, like, subscribe, comment down below. What did you think of these books? Do you have any like good tips and tricks to like maybe pick one of these up and like get through them? Like House of Leaves. Tell me how to do it. Comment that down below and let us know. And check us out on Instagram.
At @shelf_possessed.
I'm Craig.
And I'm David.
And we are Shelf Possessed. And thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate you here. And we will see you next time.
Okay. Next
Thank
one.
you for doing that.